Hi, I'm Lucia Rapanotti from the Open University. The slideshow is an illustration of applying problem-oriented engineering, PO in short, to a real-life project at the Open University. It all started with our head of department setting some strategic objectives and asking how they could be met. Here are the objectives. First of all, we wanted to enhance and develop our provision to our graduate community. He wanted to promote a wider use of technology, in particular to support our part-time research students at a distance. He wanted to make more of an existing research degree called a Master of Philosophy, MPhil, and also wanted to foster some research communities around specific computing research topics. A project team was set up, and I was appointed as project leader, and I thought the problem was a good candidate for PO application. So we started by exploring the problem. We knew what the initial requirements were, the research goals set by our head of department. That gave us an indication of the context of the problem, which had to include our computing research students and academics. So our initial problem is quite simple, to meet such research goals within the identified context. To make sure we'd understood our problem correctly, we went back to our head of department, set the strategic objective, trying to establish the validity of this problem understanding, and also trying to establish which way we could capture this understanding and communicate with our head of department to mitigate the downside risk of addressing the wrong problem. In this case, we just simply use some informal textual description, and through communication with our head of department, we obtain validation of our understanding of the initial problem. With the initial problem validated, it was time to start looking into the solution space. After some thinking, we came up with the following vision for the solution. First of all, we wanted to design a virtual MPhil, part-time Master of Philosophy delivered online and at a distance. This virtual MPhil would have to have students and their projects organized around research topics, and so this would add peer communication and collaboration to the traditional student-supervisor relationship which characterizes all research degrees. We wanted to design a program supported by technology by a rich and flexible virtual learning environment, VLE. Rich because there are many processes that have to be covered through a research program, and flexible because we have so many diverse users with diverse attitude to technology, and we needed to cater for all of them. But also in our vision, we wanted a program driven by the community itself. We wanted students, academics to own the program and to take it forward. So this led to a second post-step, solution exploration, in which, starting from our validated initial problem, we looked in more detail of what our solution might look like, and we added some structure to its design, in particular by identifying that we needed some regulations because all research degrees are regulated. We needed the technological infrastructure itself, the virtual learning environment to support it. We needed a program of training for our users because new technology and new ways of doing things implies that new skills are required. And of course, this had to be a viable program, and so a course model was also part of our envisaged solution. As for all POE steps, we needed validation before proceeding further to mitigate risks. And the first thing we did was to go back to our head of department to, after all, own the problem by setting the requirements and to check whether this solution would be acceptable. The other department, as well as owning the problem, also owns the resources that could be released to support the program. So approval by head of department was considered a critical validation step. This was obtained, but of course the head of department works within the context of the department itself, so a certain degree of buy-in from other academics was required, and so they had to be consulted as part of the validation process to work out whether such a program would be acceptable to them. Again, the department works within a university structure. Department are usually organizing faculty, ours is, so also approval at faculty level was required, and so forth, going up in the organizational hierarchy. Having taken these initial steps, it's not difficult to see how the project developed. Here is a recap of the first 10 months of the project. Step by step, both the technological infrastructure and all basic processes underpinning the program were designed and put in place. Validation was a serious task on the project, as it required involvement of a large number of stakeholders, over 50 at the last count. Now, validation is a powerful thing because it reduces the downside risk by making sure that we get things right as early as possible in the design process, and then we avoid late, expensive fixes. But of course, validation doesn't come for free. It is a problem-solving exercise in itself, and hence it requires an investment of time, resources, and stakeholder communication. If you want to find out more about POE, how to apply it, please visit the POE home at www.solvemehappy.com.